That says it all.
You know, that happens after time.
It's a constant.
Jim Ferry has done really a good job as the interim head coach for Penn State this year. Been on the staff now for a few years. Did not expect to be the head coach, but here he is. And here we go with a jump ball controlled by Penn State in the home whites on a Friday night. Some hoops for you on FS1 in the Big Ten.
An aggressive approach at both ends of the floor for Penn State. They'll look to attack the paint, put it down low, try and get themselves to the foul line. They'll work for a good shot.
Wheeler takes one and connects for three, and a good start for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, everyone gets a touch. Everyone involved early on the Nittany Lions' first possession, and tickling the twine from long range.
They get it inside right away to Williams, working on Hara. This is a good matchup here, and Williams shoves one up and in.
Very interesting, Penn State on that possession, electing to not double team, playing Williams straight up. I would imagine they will mix their defenses all night against Williams, give him different looks, try and keep him off balance.
Here's Jones. Told you had that career night the other night against Nebraska with 29. It gives it up to Dredd. Jones will take it. A little baseline floater, partially blocked, I think. I believe Ivey got a piece of it.
Purdue with some nice length on their roster, able to contest shots, get the passing lanes.
Good pass, and the rejection by Brockington. So a couple blocks from each side. Wheeler thought about another. Jones says, I'll take it. And it's in and out, no good. That's what Penn State does, Lav, right? They force turnovers. They shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah, they're tops in the Big Ten in steals. Just over 8 per game, and there's a steal. Good post defense.
This is Dredd from deep. He's got it. There, the threes are raining down for Penn State. They had a season-high 14 in their win over Nebraska, and off to a quick start with a couple early.
Yeah, turnovers converted to points. That's something Purdue has struggled with at times this season. There's another turnover. Nope, Purdue's going to retain possession.
Everybody clap your hands.
Good defense by Wheeler there. Moving his feet, active. Good give-up, playmaking as well. Penn State here is aggressive early.
He's familiar. Wheeler's tops in the conference in steals, actually, so that's something he does very, very well.
Penn State had 14 steals in their win over Nebraska on Tuesday.
It was Ivey connecting for his first basket. And a 6-4 early lead for Penn State here in the first half. Their basketball in whites.
Good help there by Williams on the drive. Purdue tied together.
They're going to get Hunter with the foul. That is first foul of the game.
In the game for Penn State, replacing John Hara.
Interesting as Harry has a quick substitution. There he goes. You know, so important to keep him out of foul trouble early. He really is the heart and soul of this team.
Yeah, he's emblematic of that physical, stout approach that the Nittany Lions prefer to play.
Jones lets it fly long, and a solid rebound there by Gillis for the Boilers. Hunter. That's from deep, and he connects. Eric Hunter, the junior, on a team that is so young. He's kind of the glue for this team.
Yeah, nice little two-man game there at the top of the floor with Travion Williams setting the screen, and just enough daylight. Hunter goes to work.
This is Buttrick. He'll let it fly from deep. That's in and out, no good. And Stefanovic has the board. Stefanovic getting the start again and lets it rip from deep, and he gets fouled. And he has had a tough time the last month or so. You know, he had a battle with COVID, and then Matt Painter trying to kind of ease him into the lineup, and he was ice-cold shooting. But he had a big night their last game with 4 threes, and here he is.
That is deep range. Difficult to see the foul from that angle, but officials were on it.
83% free throw shooter. Can't hit the first.
Well, going back to your point, Kevin, too, with the disruptions, the pauses, the issues with COVID, Stevanovic gets out of his routine. As you know, in baseball, it's about getting in the batting cage and working on that stroke. And in tennis, it's the same, right? Working on the serve, working on your tennis stroke, and a shooting stroke in basketball, a golf stroke in golf. And so the interruption, clearly, not only from a conditioning standpoint, but the release, the mechanics, the reps that he's accustomed to getting suddenly aren't there.
You know, Penn State has taken 6 shots, 5 of them threes. Here's another one. That's no good. They've all been deep threes, too, NBA-type threes. But that's kind of their game as Dredd will swing it around. Inside, good kick out. Buttrick wide open, and he drills it.
Well executed. Dribble penetration gets Purdue in rotation. And Matt Painter talked about that this morning, Kevin, in terms of at times Purdue has struggled with containing the dribble. And that puts the Boilermakers in rotation, which they prefer not to be. So smooth. Travion Williams using the bounce and then faces and puts one down off the window. There's an ease, a confidence on that post catch and delivery.
He was in foul trouble the last time they played, really the entire game. Sessoms is in the game now, handling for Penn State. Wheeler inside. Brockington, that's his shot. And no good. He loves that 10 to 15 footer, but it's in and out. Here comes Purdue with the basketball up by 2. First 5 minutes of the ball game. They'll get it into the big fella again.
Very comfortable facing, working there on the crossover. Whistles one over the rim.
Here come the Nittany Lions in transition. Up and under. We got a whistle. No whistle, but the bucket indeed by Sam Sessoms, who converts with a pretty move, and we're tied.
Wow, Sessoms there. Some shifty maneuvering. Some razzle-dazzle. Keeps his concentration, able to finish.
Williams, almost a no-look inside there, and a beauty to Gillis, who converts, but what a pass from Travion Williams.
Well, and Williams can throw the darts, the dimes, surgical in his passing.
Yeah, Jim Ferry said he thinks he's the best passing big man in the country when we talked to him earlier today.
High praise.
Ivey lets it rip. That's one area he struggled from downtown this year, but confident there in the stroke.
Yeah, catch and shoot. Penn State a little late on the closeout in terms of the high hands.
And so in the early going, biggest lead here for Purdue.
Penn State prefers to open up the floor for drives like this. That lifts Purdue's defense and creates more space for the dribble drive penetration.
Ivey, confident, lets it go again. That time it's no good, but it's taken by Thompson on the offensive board. Good pass. Another one from Williams on a dime. Stefanovic with the finish.
Well, Purdue stretching Penn State's defense, opening up that lane inversion with Williams stepping away and taking his defender with him. That creates those opportunities. Here's a heads-up steal. Boilermakers in the passing lane. Ivey, creative. Yeah, showing that he can knock down shots from distance there. Throws one home with velocity.
And Purdue is feeling it. 8 of 11 from the floor. It's an 11-4 run as they're up by 7.
Ivey, 6'4", wiry strength.
First start of this ball game, first 7.5 minutes have basically flown by. And Purdue has used passing and they've used the cutting, and 6 of their 8 field goals have been in the paint because of it.
Now this is more of a power look with this lineup, like a short yardage team in football.
Shot clock winding down. It's at 4. Ivey sees it, takes it. Strong move. No whistle. Looked like some contact. Penn State doubled him almost the entire game and quickly. So as part of that strategy to get him away from the rim a little bit?
There's no doubt. Less opportunities to double, and they're longer double teams with Purdue's outstanding spacing. When Williams does settle inside, Purdue has their counters based on alignment offensively.
Now here's the thing. Penn State is not necessarily, even though they shoot a lot of threes, an explosive offensive team, so they can't let this get too far in front of them here. It's almost an errant pass. Brockington, good save. Kara, shot clock at 2. Jones almost had the end one. And he will have a couple free throws.
Well, a good idea by Jones on that cut to the basket. Both these teams early have exhibited some heads-up cutting in basketball. What you do without the ball in your hands is so important in terms of creating good offense.
And Jones can't connect on the first. He comes in 11th in the conference in scoring. Number 1 in three-point percentage. 6th in steals. He's had a really nice year. And unfortunately, missing both free throws there. And so Jones yet to score in this one after a 29-point night the other night in the win against Nebraska.
I like the three-quarter court pressure by the Nittany Lions just to mix it up, not allow Purdue to run or walk into their offensive sets. Also takes a little time off the clock.
Well, didn't help that, though, because Zach Edey is a monster. He is a 7'4" freshman who's got a really nice touch.
Again, going back to, different personnel on the floor, different alignments. Whoa, watch out. Timber.
Listen, I just said he's 7'4". That's going to make a sound when you go down. But he's not just a basketball player. He only played hoops a couple years ago. He actually was a pitcher in baseball, which got us thinking, well, who are the tallest players ever? John Roush played for a number of teams, 6'11". So Zach Edey would have been the tallest pitcher ever. Zdeno Chara has been NHL forever, too. 6'9" with skates, probably about 7'6". Zach Edey could have been the tallest of all time at anything. But quite honestly, he said, hey, those sports, especially the pitching, gave me the soft hands. He's a good shooter.
Yeah, and Edey gaining more confidence. Each practice, each game opportunity, Purdue some heads-up defense, opportunistic. Again, alert in the passing lane. Jaden Ivey with that wiry strength, good anticipation, and using his arms and hands to disrupt Penn State.
2 shots.
Yeah, Edey went out. They brought Williams back in. Williams is a lot of things. Good free throw shooter is the one thing he really isn't. And it's interesting. We're showing their big guys. Haven't seen Edey and Trayvon play too much together. I wonder what that dynamic would look like.
Well, it would affect Purdue's offensive spacing. And I'd like the change in lineups because when you bring in an Edey, it's a different look for Purdue. And with Travion Williams, there's the flexibility to step him away where he's comfortable and can play make over the top with Williams' size. But don't be surprised based on a matchup if at some point we don't see the two of them in a game together.
Interesting. So not like a, Alonzo Mourning and Kimbe Mutombo situation. It's just a little different look. Don't want to ruin the flow as you see Seth Lundy. Well, they had the stoppage here. He was bleeding. You can't have that on the court. So trying to contain that for Lundy. Hopefully he's all right.
Philadelphia. Rocky. Appropriate. Where's Mick?
Penn State looking for some offense. Hara just waiting for some help. Now gets it. It's Wheeler who had a good early start. Swing it around to Miles Dredd, who bangs it home. It's a three-pointer for Dredd, and they sorely needed that. Dredd's got 6.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to see the ball go through the net. Give you a pep in the step, a little confidence.
And that ended a 13-2 run for Dredd, who comes off a season-high game of 16. Get a whistle.
Fouls on number 5, Brandon Newman. His first.
A nice little give up by Wheeler. A little handoff, and then Dredd able to catch and shoot. Two-man basketball, playing in pairs or a tandem, so important, in particular if you have a feel for one another. We've seen Purdue do that with some two-man and three-man action, and now Penn State comes back with a two-man game of their own.
They got a foul on Newman there. That's why we're going the other way with Penn State. With the basketball down by 8. And there is a whistle, too, and a foul away from the basketball. Looks to be on Purdue. Myron Jones let it fly. And keep talking about his career game of the night, Lav. And number 0 for Penn State hasn't scored yet in this one. Go figure.
Well, and Purdue alert defensively in terms of scouting report, the drum roll, the preparation coming into the game. Knowing opponent's personnel.
Coverage there by Hunter, who is maybe the conference defensive player of the year. He's known for that. Number 2 in black. Get it inside Hara, quick double. Red. And he's got another one. Miles Dredd is heating up. He's got 3 threes and 9 points.
And a great screen by Hara along the baseline there. See Harris sitting on Travion Williams down low. Those two fighting, battling for position.
They're going to get a foul on Hunter. He did not like it. It's a second personal foul.
Number 11, Isaiah Thompson, checks in for Purdue, replacing Eric Hunter Jr.
See if they come back to Dredd. Hit 2 3-pointers in a row, milk the hot hand. Doesn't have to force it, but play through it.
Rockington. And he's got his first field goal of the night. One note, Lav, Purdue now with 3 players with 2 fouls. So something to keep an eye on for them. And Stevanovic tried to kind of come back in and be a shield there. It didn't work. So Penn State getting back in the game, a little 8-0 run in their basketball.
And some good offensive sets. Rockington got that last drive to the basket after the Nittany Lions had overloaded. And then they reversed the ball around the horn so quickly, transported through the air, no wasted dribbles. And that allowed Rockington to drive it before Purdue could recover defensively.
That was Brockington on the miss.
There's Travion Williams like an option quarterback there. Looking to fake the handoff and then drive it. Just doesn't finish.
Wheeler wide open, can't get it to go. Hara the fight for the basketball, and it goes. Look, that's such an easy thing thrown around. Oh, they play hard all the time. But when you watch them, you know, in this situation, not an easy task. He comes in, interim head coach. Pat Chambers resigning after some allegations of inappropriate contact. It was not an easy thing to come into in this COVID world that we live in, but this team has played together.
Yeah, no doubt. He's been a stabilizing force in a time of uncertainty with COVID-19 and, of course, the coaching change as well. So a 19-year career as a head coach. He's drawn on all those experiences. He was an excellent coach at LIU. When I was at St. John's, we faced his teams, and they were always creative offensively, and that's why he came to Penn State initially as an assistant coach, was to bring his offensive teachings and his real feel for offensive concepts. And you can see that in their approach and the way they play at the offensive end of the floor.
Well, he's a son of a New York City Transit police officer. He's a New York guy, but both of his daughters went to Penn State, so he really bleeds Penn State. And, you know, I know this team is, they're going to be looking for a full-time head coach, but I know you believe he might be as good as anyone to fill the void, right?
Yeah, and Sandy Barber, the athletic director, has let him know that he is a candidate. And so if they do a national search, that doesn't mean it can't be called off. If you've got your man in Coach Ferry, he could end up being the right choice because of the timing, because of his experience, and the fact that he has really stabilized matters. It's been a tough year in terms of their one-loss record, but there are other elements to his teaching and what's really most important for the young people.
Hara just airballed it from a few feet away, and then there's little fights for the rebound. I think they're going to get Williams on a foul. As Hara kind of last actually changed that. It's going to go to Purdue. Might have been on Hara. So here is the situation. Penn State. Chambers resigning. Some improper conduct allegations. And just a rough start. 0-5. They had postponements and then a break for COVID. They finally get back to it against Purdue in January. And then they had a 4-game losing streak. They busted out against Nebraska their last time out. So feeling good. Small victories. Obviously the win-loss record not what you want. But I agree with you, Lav. Sometimes you measure it by other ways. Inside. Good look again by Williams. But the defense is there by Lundy. And just patience by Gillis, who forced it up and in. First bucket in almost 5 minutes for Purdue.
Yeah, he kept his pivot foot planted and just looked for an opening and stayed with it. Found one.
Sessoms against Ivey. Slipped. And, ooh, tough foul.
Fouls on number 23, Jaden Ivey, his first.
And that will be the 7th on Purdue, so a 1-and-1 situation for Penn State.
Number 30, Abdul Simbila in the game for Penn State, replacing John Hara. Simbila for Hara. Number 3, Sam Sessoms at the line for the Lions.
Well, here's Gillis off the Travion Williams pass. Doesn't catch it cleanly, but just stays with it and then uses the shield, the shoulders, like a shell. And kind of creates enough space to get the easy bucket.
Meanwhile, 1-on-1, first shot was missed by Sessom, so no conversion there. 17 fouls for Purdue, just 2 for Penn State. A little more than 5 minutes to go in this first half. Here's Williams. Single coverage, looking to take advantage all the way in and scores. Too easy.
Yeah, an intelligent approach by the Boilermakers offensively. And with that back down dribble and his size to survey the entire court, if it's single coverage, he's going to play power basketball. And if there's a double, he's going to hit a cutter.
Here is Lundy for 3. And it's no good, and we get a whistle. Get a foul on Purdue. We'll stay right here.
Foul is on number 50.
So interesting to watch in college basketball, the trend of looking for matchups against opponents that you feel you can exploit. And that's that NBA flavor or approach that now we see in a more prevalent way in college basketball. Just like the Europeans, international basketball, FIBA influenced the American game going back 20, 25 years. Big men that can shoot threes, inverting your offense, stepping bigs away, posting up guards.
Meanwhile, Penn State missing advantages here on the free throw line. They missed 2 front ends of a 1-and-1, so a 7-point Purdue lead. 5:03 to go in the first half. Pressure. Purdue sees it. Stefanovic wide open, and he's got it. Can't leave him open for 3, and he makes him pay.
And what a heads-up alert pass by Aaron Wheeler. Looking opposite, where so often your teammates are open. Not in the strong side, but looking the other side of the floor, whether it's man-to-man defense or zone.
Lundy can't buy one. Really, of late, he's been cold offensively. Nearly a turnover and a save.
Purdue able to substitute liberally and not much of a drop-off. And they can cumulatively wear people down. It's also allowed their freshmen to develop. And here is that heads-up pass by Wheeler. He loses it, regains it, and immediately looks opposite to Stefanovic, who knocks down that 3.
Well, Stefanovic, you look at his career. He's got 135 three-pointers, 38 two-pointers. So what do you think that he wants to do?
Lock and load.
That's exactly right.
Quick trigger.
Might want to get out on him.
Like an old gunslinger.
There's a quick double on Williams, who dribbles way out. Oh, good pressure by Penn State, but it'll stay with Purdue.
Yeah, Matt Painter talked about that today as well, that Penn State very aggressive. We haven't seen as many double teams in the post as Coach Painter probably anticipated, but there you see on the on-ball screen how aggressive they are. Just going back to Stefanovic, what I like about him is while he prefers three-point shots, he moves well without the ball. He sets screens. There he set a screen to get himself open. Comes up short on the jumper. But sometimes you have good shooters, and all they can do, like a field goal kicker, is hit extra points or field goals. He understands how to play without the ball, Kevin.
Let me ask you a question. Are field goal kickers supposed to say throw passes?
Well, nothing wrong with it. They're doing their job.
But you left it open like there was more to their job other than kicking field goals and extra points. It's really the only thing they can do.
That's true. Punters, they can fake you out somehow.
They do.
Keep it and run.
They do. You had not mentioned punters until right now.
With the old, was it the Raiders?
Yeah, for sure. Johnny Hecker does it now for the Rams. Multi-talented skill set. Kind of like you. Coaching, Elite Eights, broadcasting excellence.
A lot of hats.
A lot of hats.
Yep. Fetching coffee for you.
You wear them well. Ivey with a kick out. Here is Purdue. Swinging at Stefanovic. There's the closeout on a three. A two-point attempt is in. Taking it home.
Doing up on Tuesday night. So the upperclassmen for the Spartans have really elevated their play, and as a result, they're picking up wins.
Yeah, Mike Hill, Casey Jacobson will take you through the halftime report. Casey's top players, and we'll go through that as well. And there is the hoop and the horn for Jones, who's finally on the board. His first points of the night. He's got a chance for a three-point play.
I like the fact that he's continuing to be aggressive. Important to have amnesia or a short memory if you're a basketball player that's expected to score. And instead of just launching threes, put it on the deck and explore the opportunities to either get fouled, as he did there, and make the bucket. A chance for an old-fashioned three-point play.
One note, both big men for Purdue now each have 2 fouls. I mean, look, that's fine. There's less than 3 minutes left in the first half, but it's something to watch here as we go forward.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, it changes what you can do offensively and the aggressiveness defensively when you get into foul trouble.
Stefanovic letting it go, unafraid. That one's no good. Tipped away. Here come the Nittany Lions with Wheeler, who controls. He's got 5 assists on the night. The goal along with 5 points. Taking it all the way home. Make it 7 for Wheeler.
Good take there. Jones was in the corner, so Purdue was caught in a pick your poison. Do you help off of Jones, or do you stay attached? Which allowed the layup.
You're going to get a foul on Buttrick. Tried to get in front of Edey. I mean, Buttrick is only 6'8", so he gives up a lot to 7'4" Edey. Trying to do what he can. But only the 4th team foul on Penn State, so no big deal. Has it stolen by Wheeler, the conference leader in steals. 2-on-1, good move. Oh, the block by Ivey. Purdue the other way, no numbers. Ivey coming back, gets bumped, and there's a foul.
Wow. Well, so many elements here. He turns the ball over. I love it. Like a track athlete, and then just timing the jump to swat that shot away. And that's what you want to see after a player, turns it over, has a miscue. They should be the first one back down the floor to make up for that miscue. And that's how you garner the respect of your teammates. So often someone will miss a shot or turn the ball over, and they'll sulk or pout or lollygag in terms of not getting back.
Well, you're talking about Ivey. Here he is with the basketball. We were talking to Matt Painter earlier, and obviously so many good things to say. He's the things to work on. Just his defense, he makes electric plays, but focused through an entire game. As Edey on the rebound here, looking to put it up and in. And I'd imagine that's with a lot of young players, right? Just keeping the defensive focus the whole time.
No doubt. Every day they're learning. Wow, Stefanovic in the passing lane. Purdue with the steal.
Oh, he pushed me! Up and under. No, but the tip back by Wheeler is good.
Yeah, Purdue really playing hard on the passing lanes. And we saw earlier Hunter get a steal and take it down the floor. Stefanovic there gets the steal, and Purdue cleans up the garbage with the second shot. There he is again. Active hands.
Stefanovic going all the way home, and he lays it in.
Well, demonstrating again that while he can shoot the ball, He can add value on offense, but also defense.
He's having a heck of a night. Back in the starting lineup for the first time tonight in a little bit since dealing with COVID. And he's leading the way with 11 points. He and Ivey with a game-high 11. Here comes Ivey. He's looking to go all the way. Almost, but a little too much English. And Penn State now down by 13. Wheeler. Good kick out. Wide open is Lundy. Brick. And Ivey's got a rebound. Blocks, rebounds. Ivey everywhere.
And Purdue has attacked the paint. Matter of fact, they have a 28-8 advantage. 20 more points scored in the paint by the Boilermakers.
Wow, Edey on the alley-oop. Stefanovic doing it all. Edey an easy one. And the largest lead of the game. 1 second left in the half. It's no good. And what a first half by Purdue.
Be interesting to see in the first 5 minutes if they get them a touch. And they do try, but it's a turnover on a poor post feed. But Purdue gives it right back to Penn State. Not what either coach would have preferred for each team's first possession.
Here's Hara, who we talked about with the basketball. Get it to Jones. They'll give back to Hara the floater, and there he is.
So they get him involved early. And we'll see if that serves as a catalyst for Hara to find his way to being productive. Here's Steele.
Clearly listening to us.
Yeah, he's come out of the gate strong after our halftime pep talk.
Jim Ferry, we were talking to him today, the interim coach of Penn State, said he's the best leader he's ever been around. And this guy has been a head coach for 19 years. And he said, no disrespect to anyone else, but he's just that guy.
Well, that's what leaders do. Knowing their team needs him to step up. Hara's been active. He contests that shot. And Eric Hunter sends it up to the clouds, a rainmaker. Nothing but net.
Hunter had foul trouble in the first half. Didn't play a ton with 2 fouls. Connects there. Meanwhile, down the other side, Brockington as the pace breakneck early in this second half.
Yeah, Brockington using the change of pace to lull his defender to sleep and then just accelerates the blow-by for the layup.
Stefanovic from deep, short, and Hara's got another board. Oh, dangerous pass. Dredd in the corner. Wheeler. Soft drive, uncontested for Wheeler, who's got 9 points.
And Hara there with the handoff serves the purpose of basically setting a screen with that dribble handoff.
Williams, double on him. He's a good passer, and there's the extra pass. Hunter denied. Get it back into Williams on the reset. Looking for a spin move. Doubled again. Impossible shot. Swings it out instead. Ivey will let it fly. That's short on a 3, but the offensive board by Gillis.
Interesting, Penn State on Travion Williams' first catch. Aggressively doubled. Here it comes again. The double team, the swipe down. Good pass cross court. The hook pass.
3 points, Jaden Ivey.
Boy, on point as well with velocity and right into Ivey's shooting pocket. So there was precision as well on Travion Williams' pass.
He's got 4 assists now, the big guy. That was outstanding. And here comes a steal for Purdue. Looking to run Ivey all the way home. No, but he's going to shoot free throws.
And a good give up there by Eric Hunter in transition.
Fouls on number 2.
So often players will hold on to the ball too long, or they'll give it up at a time where they'd be better served to get a commitment from the defense.
Number 23,
that was an
Jaden
example
Ivey.
of a good choice when he gave it up to Ivey. We take a look one more time at the foul
2 shots.
on Dredd. 10 different Boilermakers played in the first half. So again, the depth of this Purdue team is what's so impressive. And a number of freshmen in the rotation, they're only getting better with each practice and game opportunity. Even in the season, that's lacked the traditional progression or building blocks because of COVID-19, but you can see their improvement. And they'll be a dangerous team in the NCAA tournament.
And Lav, for this young man, Jaden Ivey, what a performance tonight. Game high 14 points. He's got 3 rebounds. He's got 3 blocks, 3 steals. I mean, just filling up the stat sheet. Hare inside with the ball, but recovers, and he's got another field goal. So 3 field goals in the early going in the second half after a goose egg in the first half.
I like the fact that Hare has been involved in every possession offensively for Penn State, by either scoring or handing the ball off, setting screens.
Oh, good look. Williams with the dunk off the feed from Stefanovic.
Purdue sharing the sugar, willing to make the extra pass. They find the open man in a consistent manner, and that's how you get good shots and increase the odds of shooting the ball more proficiently and therefore enhancing the odds of winning a game.
Lundy gets a good screen, can't take advantage, and you got to push.
Strategist, a recruiter, can motivate. I think one of his keys in terms of his success is his ability to evaluate players and find the players that fit his system or style of play and then deploy them in a manner where he can take advantage of those gifts, their particular skill sets. And that's how you mold a winner. As we take a look, Purdue aggressive on the recovery to the basket area, collapsing.
3 ball is no good. I mean, there's so many Purdue connections. Obviously, you there with Coach Katie and Matt Painter, and you and our stat man tonight, Mitch Smith, roomies at Purdue. Mitch was in the SID department at the time. There's this whole Purdue feel tonight.
There's no doubt. 6 degrees, like a Kevin Bacon situation, but of the Purdue Boilermakers.
Stefanovic was not there at that time, but he gets fouled on the drive. So no relation to the story we were telling, but he's having a nice night tonight.
Yeah, and again, we talked about well-devised alignments or sets, a little 2-man game. They empty one side of the floor to allow for that 2-man game, and Stevanovic capitalizes.
Sasha Stevanovic at the line, shooting 2 for Purdue.
And he's had another really nice night. We told you that he dealt with COVID, and Matt Painter kept him on the bench, and he told us today, like, he didn't love it. I mean, he was frustrated, but he was trying to just kind of ease him back and, not make him stress. And so he's back in the starting lineup tonight. He had a 14-point night his last time out, finally found his shot. And then obviously tonight he's been going off in really all facets of the game.
Well, and that's another gift, a credit to Matt Painter, intuition and feel for, when to bring Stefanovic back and what is going to best serve not only Stefanovic, but Purdue. And so having that hunch has paid dividends, similar to a baseball manager that shakes up his lineup and goes with his gut as opposed to always working with analytics to drive decision-making.
Or a field goal kicker that throws for a first down, as we discussed earlier. I mean, you have to have the versatility.
No doubt. Be ready at any point. Coach can call your number, and suddenly you find yourself trying to block for a great running back.
Right. Or, for example, if Rocky was filmed in State College instead of Philadelphia.
I wonder if he ever made it to Happy Valley, Rocky. Would Mick allow him to get outside of Philadelphia?
I feel like if he was going to train outside of Philly, maybe he wouldn't go 200 miles away. Maybe a little closer.
It's probably true.
We were having fun because Lav referenced earlier a Rocky reference. And, Pennsylvania is a very large state.
I just want to get Burgess Meredith and Mick into this broadcast of conference tournament. So no matter how bad your season was, you get a fresh start, a second chance to go to the big dance and punch your ticket by getting hot over a stretch of a couple days.
Yeah, you just saw that graphic, and it's hard to believe with all the the good teams and successes the Big Ten has had. They haven't won a national title since 2000, and that was the Mateen-Cleaves Michigan State team. It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Well, and how about this, Kevin? Only one coach in the Big Ten Conference has taken his team to a Final Four, won a national championship, and that's Tom Izzo. That would surprise. But Thad Matta moved on. Bob Knight moved on. Coaches that had taken their teams to a Final Four. No longer the case. But bright, young coaching stars in the Big Ten, so there's no reason they can't begin to have more people on that list beside Tom Izzo.
Had a held ball there, and so it'll stay with Purdue. So this is the graphic we're talking about. Again, just that Izzo at Michigan State, National Title 2000, ACC with 8. And you figure Duke, North Carolina, Virginia got one. The Big East there. UConn has one in the AAC and the Big East. We did these when they won it, what conference they were in when they won it. And so we'll see if the Big Ten can turn around that trend this year as Wheeler for 3, and he connects.
And Purdue has really been alert to skipping the ball over the top of defenses, getting it from one side of the floor to the other with the skip pass. A very effective way to play basketball offensively.
Jones in some trouble, gets it out to Dredd for 3. Man, how did that not go down? And it's tipped around. Penn State's got it. Sessoms will let it go. That's no good. We get a whistle.
Fouls on number 55, Sasha Stevanovic.
Stefanovic here goes to the high post to Edey, and then again, Edey looks opposite, just throws a strike. And Wheeler, the recipient, was down and ready in terms of shot preparation and tickles the twine.
How come Purdue has been so good at not only recruiting big men, but cultivating them?
Well, they have a history, even prior to Matt Painter, Gene Cady, Lee Rose. I mean, you go back through their history from a Joe Barry Carroll, a Jim Rowinski, a Steve Scheffler, and Brian Cardinal, among others. So there is that long tradition, like USC with running backs, when it comes to big men. Purdue is one of the best in the history of college basketball. And so I think you gain a reputation. It becomes part of your brand. And consequently, big men understand. You go to Purdue, you're going to be put on the map when it comes to frontline players, and Travion Williams, another.
By the way, there was a 4th foul on Miles Dredd, number 2 for Penn State. So he's out of there now. And you talk about part of that is Ivey will let it go from deep, and that's no good. Zach Edey, the freshman, the big 7'4" man who we've been documenting, there he is in the middle, number 15. He said big reason why he came to Purdue was because of that history. Fight for the ball, and Purdue's got it. Down the other end.
See the athleticism on some of these follow-up attempts. He's going to have a bright future, not only at Purdue, but at the next level, with his ability to defend, his size and length, the good feet, and the skill set. We're starting to see the basketball savvy, the intelligence on display as well.
I mean, it's pretty hard not to like what you see for Ivey. There's no question about it. One of the top 100 recruits in the country. Hara inside, and it gets a hard and one. They get a foul on Williams. It's his 3rd.
I like Hara here with the one power dribble, and that, like a rocket, is used to elevate himself. Vice grip hands in terms of how strong he is. Look, just one bounce, gather, and then goes with 2 hands on the reverse layup. Just enough English there to put it down off the glass.
And he's got it. So Hara up to 9. Got 9 of the team's 13 points in the second half. Really, the 3-ball. We told you that Penn State lives and dies on that. They started 2 of 3 from downtown. There's 3 of 19 since. It's tough to win when you rely on that, and you can't get it to go. Meanwhile, Purdue has been pretty hot this entire game, 56% from the floor.
Again, I'm amazed by the Boilers with 10 different players. Another nice pass by Travion Williams. It's refreshing that he enjoys the thrill of the pass. Takes pride in his passing. There are those that feel passing is a vanishing art. Going back through the history of the game, some of the greatest players took pride in passing. Not sure if it's the dunk or the three-point line that has led to people being disinterested in passing. And understanding the angles that go into making a good pass, when to take something off in terms of less velocity and put more air under it to lift it over defense. So many subtleties to passing the basketball.
Wheeler with a steal and flips it up, no good. Tipped around Penn State, will not save it.
But going back to the earlier point, the depth.
Sorry, I want to show you this. We're talking about the big man Williams passing. Well, we've talked too in the second half about Hare and why he's important, because he's one of those guys. I mean, he's a nut in the best sense of the way, right? He's the energy guy, the glue guy, and that's why him getting going, that hope to get Penn State back in the game. So their centers, different styles, but each kind of the motivator for their team.
No doubt. He has a football mindset in terms of his style of play. He enjoys the physicality. He enjoys setting screens, putting wood, putting lumber on an opponent to free up a shooter, and carving out space down low like a sumo wrestler, a old Green Bay Packer on the offensive line, maybe a pulling guard if he was to play football.
I like that you've referenced multiple sports tonight. You've kind of brought it all together.
Well, one of the keys when working with 18 and 22-year-olds, you've got to keep them engaged, try and captivate them as creatively as possible. So you're going to use every tool, just like teachers have to with their students. Coaches, no different. Even parents, right? As you're well aware, being a father yourself, keeping young people engaged is not easy.
How many pop culture references did you drop in a normal practice at St. John's?
Oh, boy.
Over 40?
Well, I'll tell you, you had to stay up with what's happening in the world. You can't be a dinosaur.
Oh, what a block. Another one by Ivey. He's got 4 tonight. Special.
He really is. And the timing, the intelligence, because we see him hit the hole. Wow, they go down like bowling pins. Resistance there by Penn State at the rim.
Bowling, the only sport you hadn't mentioned to this point. Good reference. Penn State with the hoop by Jones. We'll go back to the block. Ivey.
Wow. Not only the vertical, climbing the ladder, but getting his arms and fingers fully extended, pointed towards the rafters, the ceiling. And as a result, able to get that block, keep it in play. So often someone will block the ball, it goes out of bounds, and the team keeps possession. But blocking those shots where they stay in play and teammates can secure it, big difference.
A little pressure by Penn State. Stefanovic left open. We get a whistle. Looks like it's going to be on Penn State, and it will be. They're going to get it on Jamari Wheeler. And that is the 7th on the team, so a one-on-one situation coming.
You know, Kevin, this is an interesting season and team when you look at Purdue because of their youth, the freshmen that are in the rotation, the fact they're only going to get better. And by the time the NCAA tournament comes, those freshmen are the equivalent of sophomores in terms of the number of games and experiences under their belt. And that's why I think Purdue has as high an upside. They would be a dark horse relative to the top seeds, but their upside, the unknown, the potential, the ceiling is so intriguing. And I could see them going to the second weekend of play in the NCAA tournament, being 10 deep. The way Matt Painter deploys them, organizes them offensively and defensively, and their quickness and athleticism is unlike anything I can remember in recent Purdue history. There were some impressive teams. Conzo Martin, Big Dog Glenn Robinson and company. And Coach Painter's had some impressive teams. The Todd Mitchell, Troy Lewis, Everett Stevens team. But that was in the late 80s. Winning multiple Big Ten championships. But this Purdue team, not only this year, but looking down the line in the crystal ball. Wow, watch out.
Williams working, and he gets bumped. Well, here's what I'll say to back up your point. 43% of Purdue's points this year have been scored by freshmen. That's the 11th most in the country, right? So you go into the tournament, 0 pressure. certainly the talent to make a little bit of run. And just imagine what next year could bring, because, you know, it doesn't seem like any of these freshmen necessarily will be going to the draft, right? So you could have this plus the recruiting class, plus you get Hunter, who would be your senior point guard. I mean, listen, I'm looking way ahead, but I feel what you're throwing out there.
Well, think about this, just to build on your point. This will be their 9th win in 12 games in the strongest conference in the country in terms of depth. So when you win 9 out of 12 in a league that's going to send 9 teams to the NCAA tournament, that right there is making a statement to the selection committee. Their body of work with each game continues to impress.
And the tournament played in their home state.
Wouldn't that be something?
Doesn't hurt. Here's Brockington. Had a quiet night tonight. Second leading scorer, just 4 points tonight. And Wheeler has it stripped away by Williams.
How about those quick hands by Travion Williams? I mean, he has really, really good hands. Quick. And not picking up the foul. Just able to stab at it. Just pokes it away.
Purdue has been in control, really, for most of the game, but especially since about the last 8 minutes of the first half. Went on to their biggest lead at halftime, and even though Penn State came out hot in the second half, Purdue has just been so good here tonight.
If they were to win the Big Ten Conference Tournament, don't be surprised if they don't move up to a 3 or even a 2, because they're going to have opportunities within the Big Ten Tournament to knock off top 5 teams. Not only quad 1 wins, but extra special quad 1 wins.
Inside, Hunter takes it in strong. Eric Hunter had some foul trouble. Was quiet for most of the night. Didn't really need him with the way everyone else was playing, but that's his 7th point.
Again, coming out of a timeout, well devised, well executed by the Boilermakers. And those things matter when you look at Purdue in the NCAA tournament. So their alignments, their schemes, the ability to adjust over the course of a game. And I'm so impressed with their depth. Just the fact they can go 9 or 10 players and not really have a big drop-off regardless of what players are in there. And they can go big, or they go with a cat-quick team that gets up and down the floor in a hurry.
It's like you said, it's like the line change in hockey. You know, they get a little different flavor, and they could mix the lineup really as good as anybody. Stefanovic runs into trouble, gets bumped, puts it up, and no, going the other way, an offensive foul they get him for.
Good rotation defensively by Penn State.
Put a cap on your Purdue conversation, how hot they've been. We're going to go on and win this game, barring something completely nuts, right? So it would be 9 of the last 12. 2 of those losses out of the last 12 games were by a combined 4 points on the road. They're playing good basketball.
No doubt.
Jones, floater, and he's got it. Myron Jones puts that one home for Penn State.
Nice maneuvering. Gets good lift on his shot.
Good rejection. Jones working on D. Looks to take it ahead of the pack and gets fouled from behind. Nice play by Jones, and they're going to get Hunter for a foul. That's his 3rd.
That was one of the few shots tonight by Purdue that was forced, where they were under duress, not to the point where the elbows are down the tonsils or there are 3 wet towels draped on Hunter, but clearly he should have kicked the ball. But other than that possession, it's hard to think of a shot that was forced by Purdue, because they're looking for one another, really tied together offensively. It makes a team difficult to guard when all 5 players are playing with an unselfish mindset, because who do you load up on? And that's the balance of this Purdue team that's unique. Size, strength, skill, quickness, inside and outside.
And going to get an offensive foul. I believe they're going to get it on Edey. Sometimes when you're 7'4", it's just hard to get out of the way. And when you do, you knock people over.
You're a glacier. And all of a sudden a glacier moves. Watch out. Get out of the way. Avalanche.
I thought the Titanic reference was coming next, but you left that one out. Definitely could be a block in that situation. Lundy from 3. That's no good. Another rebound for Ivey. It's his 5th, 4 blocks, 5 rebounds, a couple of assists, a couple of steals, 14 points. For Ivey on the dish. And he's got the assist because Hunter delivered the 3.
A Boilermaker team that's in sync. It's hitting on all the right notes. How about that? Boy, he gets great lift. Jones off the bounce, goes right at Edey and lifts it over the glacier for the basket.
Nicely done by Jones. Up to 11 points now. Here is Edey looking to work on the offense.
Good technique by Edey. Putting those hands up. Going to get the traveling call.
Number 3, Sam Sessoms back in the game for Penn State. Along with number 10.
What do you like about his offensive game? I mean, you think of a guy sometimes that's that. I mean, 7'4" is really big, right? I mean,
number 15,
but it looks like he's got soft hands and soft feet. You know what? Does that make sense?
He does, and also intelligence. Even keeled, not in the peaks or valleys emotionally. And so he makes good decisions, and you can tell he's trying to apply everything he's learned in practice in the post drills in terms of getting those hands up, in terms of his, and not be playing with purpose. But this team, each game seems to have another breakthrough and improves in an aspect or element of play. That big picture sets them up to have a special finish to this season.
Going to get a shove on Newman. Just not his night. He's got 4 fouls. And see a little frustration on him. Hasn't been involved as much, but that's okay the way Purdue has played. Another one of those freshmen for this team, but as Lav told you, the way depth they have, they could survive if one of their kids has an off night like that.
You know, another way of putting it is Penn State turnover, but there are some teams you have in November and December, and they peak. And that's who they are for the rest of the year. And then there are teams that sometimes struggle. I call them bloodied but unbowed. And you have some losses early, but then you start picking up momentum. And all of a sudden you're winning 12 or 13, 11 in a row, 8 in a row at the right point in the season, the right juncture. And Purdue appears to be one of those teams. They took some lumps, they're bloodied, but not unbowed, and now playing their best basketball as we head towards March.
Dalian Johnson into the game now as Jim Ferry gets some of his reserves in there, and Johnson has the field goal. Freshman getting on the board.
But he also took a charge earlier, so making the most of his opportunity, which is what you want to see out of a freshman.
His first
from Westminster, Maryland.
Number 5.
We talked a lot about Purdue and their accolades tonight, and deservedly so, playing well tonight in the last 12 games. I'm curious for Penn State. We talked early in the broadcast about Jim Ferry, the head coach in college basketball for 19 years. Interim head coach here, was been on the staff for 4 years. But in the mix, you know, to be the permanent head coach every year, you have been an interim head coach. How tough is it?
It's very difficult because of the uncertainty. I was fortunate that they lifted the interim tag in early February. But prior to that, in terms of recruiting, in terms of, you know, working with players, because the players are aware that you have that interim tag, it definitely affects your recruiting, even from a fundraising standpoint. Everything's at a standstill because you're a lame duck.
Basketball, Isaiah Thompson.
And with that said, you know, it appears Penn State is going to have a national search. But if the candidates that they come up with don't impress, the best candidate might be Coach Ferry, when you start looking at continuity, stability, and the period that we're in with COVID-19 really makes this a unique situation.
Yeah.
He has a bright future, whether it's at Penn State or elsewhere, because of his experience and the relationships he's built through his career in basketball and the fact he's respected. So if it's not at Penn State, he'll be coaching somewhere else. He was really brought in as an offensive coordinator. And if you look at the numbers, offensively, they dramatically improved once he joined the Penn State staff. And so someone will either pick him up as their right-hand man, as a veteran assistant in the Power 6 conference, or there'll be an athletic director, a search firm out there that's going to see his work, recognize what he's done in basketball, and get a job somewhere else at the Division I level.
Minute and a half to go in this one. And we get a foul.
Well, you clearly bring this out in me. Now, speaking of pulling guards, I grew up a 49er fan.
Right.
So that was the Randy Cross, Fawnhorst, Ayers, maybe one of the greatest offensive lines in the history of the NFL, protecting Joe Montana.
Pretty good team, too, I was going to say. Offensive line team.
Roger Craig, Jerry Rice, Freddie Solomon was there for a couple of those years. Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone.
You are matches. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you are a true Renaissance man, as we all know, and anyone who you've been around, friends in the industry.
You bring it out in me.
Well, I try. I do try my best. I think the one thing is I will send a freeze frame of the Google Maps on the drive from Philadelphia State College.
So you're saying that Mick didn't train Rocky in Happy Valley?
He didn't do it in Happy Valley. I mean, there may be
Here
chickens
I thought
in Happy
all
Valley.
these years, cut me Mick, that scene wasn't in Happy Valley?
Anything is possible. Do I think that Hollywood went to Happy Valley to film the scene from Philadelphia from Rocky? No, I do not.
But at least we got Burgess Meredith into the broadcast. We also got to get Bo Ryan and John Beeline, because they were Big Ten coaches that took their teams to multiple Final Fours. They're no longer in the Big Ten. But
right, you were talking about the coaches that were still coaching.
Currently coaching. Only Tom Izzo has a Final Four and more, a national championship on his resume. But some great coaches over the years. Steve Fisher took a team or two to the Final Four.
It was two, right?
Yeah, the Fab Five. And, of course, he won a national title with Glenn Rice, Neil Robinson and company. I'm a Big Tenner.
This will be the largest win by the Boilers in Happy Valley since 2008. Just an impressive performance by Purdue.